What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Movie Talks, the only podcast you need for all your movie news, movie reviews, and more. Episode 122. We've got a big week for you right now. Three very big things. One that's been on your list for many, many weeks,
Oh,
it-
forever.
which is Anora, which is the art house film of all art house films coming at you. No,
It's
not really.
not even a little bit art house.
Well, I had to throw it in there
Yeah, always.
because Squid Game has just come out as well. That came out on Boxing Day. And then we've also got
Nice.
Sonic 3. So,
Hell yeah, we do.
the brand new trilogy with Keanu Reeves is coming in. So,
Yeah.
he is everywhere. But a little bit of movie news. It's not much because it is the end of the year and everybody
hmm
waits for the new year. But the Batman Part 2 has been delayed and won't release until 2027. So yeah, that is what's his name? Chris.
27.
Yeah. That's quite a when did the other one come out? That came out in like 20
Like 19 or something?
yeah.
2022. Okay.
Yeah, still it's a fair delay. So I
Oh,
don't know.
shit. I thought it was older than that, to be honest, but yep.
Yep. And then Sonic
Damn.
4 has been confirmed. So we'll go into where they're going
Yeah.
to go with that one, obviously, because of did you know there was two post-credit scenes? So,
Oh, I only saw the one with Amy.
hmm it was the second one. And
Oh, whoops.
then we have Christopher Nolan has just said that his next movie, he's going to adapt mythology, so Greek, the Odyssey. Somehow he's going to be doing a an adaptation of mythology, so Greek mythology. There's no other details besides that's what his next picture is going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's about it for movie news at the moment. Obviously, we've got the Karate Kid Legend. There's a bigger trailer out now rather than the little teaser one. So the two universes are colliding with
hmm
Jackie Chan and Machio. So interesting.
Ralph Macchio.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I loved Cobra Kai and the
Yeah.
Karate Kids.
And I've heard, not just from you, but I've heard nothing good things. It's one of those things I'll need to get to one day, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
so self-aware, and that's what
which
plays
is
into
great.
it. Mm.
Yeah. I think that's what the Jaden Smith Karate Kid was kind of missing. Was it like it was
Yeah.
trying to be really cool and trying to make Jaden Smith a movie star?
But
And he's a weird
they
little kid.
they've struggled massively with that. He's
Yeah.
like,
Well, he's a nepo baby. He's a little weird kid. Doesn't understand the world because he's been sheltered from celebrity life his whole life. So
yeah,
he's strange.
fair. Also, a horror film that may actually get a return, which is I Know What You Did Last Summer. There's going to be a sequel,
Oh,
and
cool.
Jennifer Love Hewitt is confirmed to return. It's kind of cool.
You're right.
I don't
I like
mind
that.
that.
It's like Courtney Cox with Scream.
Hmm.
Keep bringing her back.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
That's it for movie news. Told you it was a little bit quiet.
Yeah, right.
Hmm. Hmm.
What have I seen during the week? It's interesting. A lot.
No, because
A lot.
it's just a couple of big releases that get released on Boxing Day for us, and for some
Mm.
reason Christmas Day for everywhere else. Like I don't know if going to the movies on Christmas Day is a thing, but I just assumed it wouldn't be.
The
So
thing's released Christmas Day in America.
yeah, it says December 25th that gets released, which is a
Sure.
weird choice. I don't know why, but
Yeah, they
yeah,
must open on Christmas Day there.
yeah.
Whereas
So
in Australia, everything is shut Christmas Day.
besides what's it called service
Servos.
stations, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So whatever. Let's jump
Gas
in.
station.
Mm. Let's jump into our first one off the ranks then. It is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So
Yeah, buddy.
I have seen all three of the films. I
Same.
enjoy the first one was a little bit hit and miss, but it was
Oh, I loved
the
it.
did you?
Yeah, it's so fun.
See, the problem with I had with the first one was like he could run wherever he wanted to, but it was more like a buddy cop sort of film
Yeah.
where I was like, this is a bit weird. This isn't what I wanted. But I do like that the people actually listen. So the company and everyone was like, nah,
100%.
the model looks shocking. So they were like, oh, we'll
Yeah.
change that. And I was like, that's awesome. And then Sonic 2 actually introduces Tails and Knuckles. Knuckles is my favorite. And he's just one of those characters, like a little bit of comic relief that I'm gonna
He's you.
smash. Yeah, I'm gonna smash everything. I love him. He's
I am
so good.
1000% muscle. Even my teeth are muscle. He is
Yeah,
you.
yeah, he's so good. And like
It's pretty funny.
two was awesome. It gave you like all the nostalgia, introduce Supersonic, and then three is expanding the universe again. And we get Jim Carrey back as Dr. Eggman, and we also get introduced to Shadow. Shadow's really cool. Shadow has a
Yeah.
motorbike and a gun, and we get to see that as well. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also get reintroduced to our Team Sonic, which they're obviously going to build to as well. So we get introduced again to Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. They're part of Team Sonic with their two human family parents, I guess you could call them. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I have problems with that too, but
Yeah.
I liked in the original one and in most of two when they're like fishing and stuff together, that Sonic was more of a mate. Sonic was like a friend of what's the fucking guy's name? I can't remember anyone's name in this. I've seen all three this week and I can't remember.
Oh,
Um,
Tom.
Tom. Uh, yeah, I felt like Sonic and Tom were. I like their relationship better as friends. Like, they found each other in mates because Tom didn't really have any friends. And I like that. And then all of a sudden, he was like his father figure.
Yep.
And it felt kind of weird because Sonic doesn't feel that young.
No, Sonic's. I don't know that hedgehogs have a an age or whatever, but that was a little bit weird. I do agree with that. But
While I'm
yeah,
here, I'll quickly mention Ben Schwartz. I think he's a funny actor. I haven't seen any Sonics until this week. I watched all three this week. Um, Ben Schwartz as Sonic, he grows on you so much. At first, all I can hear is Ben Schwartz because I've seen him in a lot of stuff. And then over time, all I can hear is Sonic. It's great. I'm also really happy they cast the actual voice actor for Tails, as Tails. Took me ages to get used to Idris Elba as well
yeah,
as Knuckles. I just felt like it was Idris Elba,
yeah,
but then after a while, it doesn't. He feels much more like Barbarian. Again, it's you.
yeah,
And same thing happened with Keanu Reeves as Shadow. Like
yeah,
straight away, all I could picture is Keanu Reeves saying lines.
yeah.
But
He did no,
again, it grows
he,
on you.
he did no voice at all. It was just his
No,
own
but I
voice.
liked it. Yeah, I think that's why I liked it though,
But,
because everybody else is the same.
because it is self-aware and like they make a number of jokes. I was like, you have a chance to make like a Keanu Reeves like joke here when he was first introduced, where he's like, "You look like me" or whatever, and he was like, "I don't look like you." Like they could have made a speed joke
You
or
look like
like
me.
you
All
sound like
right.
Keanu Reeves or something. Like it could have been
Mm.
whatever. It could have been fun, but whatever. I
Well,
think it.
there's even a joke where, because in this movie, Jim Carrey is playing Dr. Robotnik, but also Dr. Robotnik's grandfather. Um, and when they first meet, they're like, it's like looking in an old mirror or whatever. And then they
It's
both say, it's like
it's like
being
we're
in
in
a
a
movie,
movie,
being played by the same actor. And they look at the camera.
right?
Most time that would annoy me, but I think in Sonic, that's perfect.
Yeah,
So much of the humor hits well because it's camp and it's silly and yeah, I reckon it's great.
yeah. So this one pretty much picks off where two left off. So like obviously the mayhem happened, and they're just trying to live their standard, quiet, peaceful life as a family. And then it gets interrupted, and they have to go off because Knuckles. Shadow wakes up because Shadow's been sleeping for 50 years. He came down in a
Yep,
meteorite, and then over that time, he made friends with the Dr. Robotnik's niece, which I forget her
Maria.
name, Maria. And
Mm.
then, unfortunately, there's an accident in the lab where unfortunately Maria dies, and that sends Shadow on a path of like vengeance. And then once he escapes, then you have the big confrontation with Sonic and well, Team Sonic and Shadow. So remember, we follow along with all the ups and downs, the three act structure where you get the big final confrontation, and then we get a big climax where we get redemption. So that obviously Shadow is going to join Team Sonic because he is in all of the extended lore. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, sort of. He doesn't like Knuckles at the end of number two was like, I am now Team Sonic, but Shadow didn't feel because he sort of was off doing his own thing. He blew up and came back and stuff. Didn't
yeah,
feel, which I like. I'm glad it's not just. I don't want it to be every movie is just new member of Team Sonic and follows that same structure every time. This felt a little different from two, at least. Like it wasn't. If this just felt like number two, but with Shadow instead of Knuckles, I would have been disappointed. But
yeah,
I think they didn't do that, which was nice.
yeah. I'm just telling you where it's going to go because obviously
Yeah, for sure.
Shadow's part of it. But like this was really fun. So it had enough of everything. It had enough humor, had enough story progression. Like I was not bored
Mm.
throughout. There was no points in it where I'm like, this is kind of a little bit slow. Like I
No.
enjoyed it
Well,
throughout.
Act One is like 9 minutes long. Like it goes from them in the forest having like this fake race, then having their birthday, and then straight away, Kristen Ritter, who again, it's so weird, she's in everything. She rocks up and she's like, "We need Team Sonic," and they go off, and it's like been 9 minutes of the story, and already they've been called to action. Like Act One is so quick and over. But it's good because we've had two movies of Act One. We don't need more setup, more build up. Who are these characters? What are they doing? Like go straight into it. I thought it was kind of nice. For a lot of people, it would be jarring, but I think because I watched them all this week, it felt like a really good, nice progression.
Yeah, and you want to get into it. Like that's what Sonic's about. Sonic's not about like your slice of life kind of like
Hmm
take. They also like point fun at it when Tom and his wife partner, I forget her name because she's only in it.
Gabriella,
Could be where they're like
Maddie.
Maddie, yeah, where they're like once Team Sonic gets called out, they're like, "What do we do? Oh, we're just doing bits and pieces." Like he creates a
Yeah,
dummy and crochets and all sorts, and they're like, "Yeah, cool.
it's
It's
nice to have all this downtime. It's nice to not be in all this crazy action all the time.
yeah," and then they get called into it, and then like just hilarity awaits.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed like with speed characters, like watching them fight, like watching the Flash fight is quite boring because
Yeah,
he just runs really fast. Where
yeah,
I thought there was going to be an issue with that with like Sonic and Shadow as
and
well.
Shadow. Yeah,
But it was actually really entertaining. Like it gave
yeah,
me Dragon Ball Z kind of vibes where
100%.
when they were both went supersonic or
Mm-hmm.
what Shadow, I
Shadow.
guess, if
Who
that's what you
knows?
want to
Yeah,
call.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know the law.
But they were like fighting and like exploding and flying across, and it was like watching a Dragon Ball Z fight. I was like, that has to be 100% inspired by Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, actually that end fight was the first time in the trilogy that I was like, oh, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like all the Knuckles fights were fine. The end of number two where he goes supersonic, I was like, oh, look at him, this looks cool as hell. But that fight between Shadow and Sonic at the end of, or in not the end, but near the end of this one is really fucking cool. Really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, very much so. I felt the exact same thing.
Yeah. It was sick. Also, Jim Carrey is amazing.
He's
He
incredible. He's a treasure.
he's so good as
Yeah.
Robotnik. And like we actually get to see Robotnik as Robotnik because like in the first film he didn't look like the character, but I like that there's
hmm
been a progression. Like when he first was doing his role in number one, I was like, you don't look like it, but you have the persona of it. Two, where he starts to look a little bit like Robotnik, and now he's looking like the
Yeah.
larger, robust
Yeah,
Robotnik, and
yeah.
I was like, this is cool. I like it. It makes a good progression,
Hmm.
and he's
Yeah,
just
I love him. I didn't love the grandfather character. I feel like he didn't add much that Robotnik didn't already have. I didn't necessarily want to, but it's fine. Like it wasn't something that made me upset. But yeah, I love every scene. Like even when I watched one and two, there were times where I was like, not super engaged. Still not having a good time, but it's still a very what do you want to call it? It's a pretty non-concentrating movie. But as soon as any scene with Jim Carrey comes on, I'm glued to the screen. Like
yeah,
he's so fun. He's having such a good time. The fact that he's come out of retirement multiple times just to make these movies, says a lot.
yeah.
So I'm all about it.
Especially the standard sort of heist where they have to go and steal and get through the lasers, get into the vault that no one's seen.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny, like him just dancing with himself. I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a full dance number. It was
Well, I think they've all had a. Did number one have a dance number? Because number two has the scene with Tails and yeah, because number one or is it two? Oh, this is the problem when you watch them all at once. Uh, Jim Carrey also had a dance number, and there's that
yeah.
Tails and Sonic dance number in the fucking Swiss Alps or whatever it is. Uh, yeah, it's almost like that's a thing for them now. That's really funny.
I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And then when
Yeah,
you get the little bit of a twist where the grandfather Robotnik is wants to like just destroy everything. He's like fighting himself. I
yeah,
I laughed. I thought it was quite funny.
yeah. It's
'Cause,
great
like he's given 100% for everything.
because he's having fun, and that's the essence of all three of these movies. It's just fun. Like
Hmm.
no one's trying too hard. I think casting someone like Ben Schwartz to play an action hero says everything about it. Um, like everyone's just dicking around and having a good time, but they're not. It's not dicking around having a good time, and therefore the movie is kind of flawed. It's part of its credit.
Yeah. I'm also very surprised that Flower, however you want to say it.
Jeff Fowler, yep,
Yeah. This is his like debut work, like the Sonic trilogy. Like he's just
yeah,
short, and then it was Sonic 2, then the Knuckles
yep,
miniseries. Still haven't seen it.
yep. No,
And
me
then
either, but I do want to now.
yeah, and then Sonic 3. Like he has improved every single film. Like Sonic 3
Mm,
is my favorite. It actually goes reverse order. So 3 is my favorite, then
okay.
2, then 1, which is
I think 132 for me.
okay.
I think number one, I know there's problems with like speed and that it's much more grounded for a story it's meant to be, overly exciting and an action show. But I kind of like that. I kind of like that number one's just about two characters off on adventures, and I think that's a necessary setup. It's probably like probably not the most fun out of the three, but I kind of like how grounded it is,
Okay.
how sort of slice of life it is.
I didn't like
But
that though.
yeah, that's fine.
Like I wanted more from it. I wanted it to be like Sonic, where that's where I felt like too. Like it gave me everything I wanted. It gave
Hmm.
me the nostalgia of like seeing Knuckles, seeing Sonic. Because my favorite Sonic game was Sonic and Knuckles because you got to play as Knuckles. And like
I know
he,
it's so funny how I just see you in Knuckles. It's a compliment too.
yeah. But like it's just I really enjoy them, and I'm excited for number 4 because
Yeah,
they are setting up. So there's two post-credit scenes. I we took the kids to Gold Class, which is like here in Australia
expensive.
is yeah, well, it is. But it was like whatever, like it was a little bit of a treat. We're on school holidays. And now that Gold Class actually let kids in, it was like is an experience. Like we ordered them food and stuff, and they loved it. The reclining seats. And then
Hmm.
I was like, there's two post credit scenes, and they're like, can we go? I'm like, no, you've got to see the end. And then I had to watch the credit scene after because we get the first post credit scene because We get to see Shadow sacrifice himself by pushing the big Death Star. It's pretty much a Death Star, which the senior Doctor Robotnik builds because he wants to
Yeah,
destroy everything.
yeah, it's a star.
Yeah, he pushes it out, and then Jim Carrey's Doctor Robotnik, the present day, I guess, younger one.
The grandson.
Yeah, he like delays it and then sacrifices himself, but lo and behold, I was like, no way, this is how they're going to end it with these two dying. I was like,
Hmm.
it's a bit weird, but they push it out. He sacrifices himself, it explodes, and then everyone gets to live happily ever after. But we get to see the introducing of Robot Sonic as well. So I
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting seeing so many. I was expecting there to be like the one sort of villain of Robot Sonic. I wasn't expecting an army of Robot Sonics that just die so easily, which
yeah.
is
I don't know the law there, but yeah,
was a little
I
bit
thought
odd.
I thought the same as you. I thought there was just one
Yeah. Well, okay.
like Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to Amy with her hammer. So she's coming in as well. She's an interesting character. I don't mind her, but I wonder
Yeah,
how they're going to introduce it. And
and there
then
are a lot of Sonic characters, like a
yes,
lot that they could be
yes.
introducing. I want the Bat to come in,
Okay.
Rouge,
Hmm.
or whatever her name is. Just fucking cool.
Yeah. And then we also get introduced to the post credits, second post credit scene where we get to see that Dr. Robotnik and also Shadow are not dead as well.
Oh, there you go. That's what I didn't see.
Hmm. Yep. So they will be
So,
returning.
what do we see in the post-credit scene? Like, what happens?
Well, we just get to see that they're not dead.
And what do we see them do?
Not a lot, but we just get the hint that they're not dead.
Oh,
Like it's not a massive one, and it's not like super exciting, but it's it's saying them that they're not dead. It's just, hey guys, they're not dead, which kind of takes,
I'm watching it now. Found someone on YouTube who filmed it in the theaters.
yeah. So it's enough to take you from going, oh, that's a heartfelt moment where they both sacrifice themselves for the greater good. But no,
You
they
already
come
see them
back.
both. You see one of Shadow's rings that he wears
Mm,
on his like ankles and wrists. You
mm.
see him pick it up. We see his feet come into frame and his hand reach down. You see Robotnik.
No, but because the robots, the robots are only done to his DNA. But his DNA structure is what controls the robots, and we get to see them at the end. But no one else can control them.
Oh, and see robots in that scene.
No, but like in the first post-credit scene, we get to see the robot Sonic and stuff. But the only person he's able to control the robot
Okay.
tech.
I didn't assume. I didn't know that he made Robot Sonic.
Yeah. So because like the robot, so the grandfather Robotnik is like able to control them because they share DNA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I know I expected it anyway. I expected pretty. It's like the end of number one where you Robotnik is dead.
Mm,
You don't expect him to be, or
no.
at least as soon as you knew there was a sequel, you didn't expect him to be.
Yep.
I'm glad that this one wasn't like Robotnik's the bad guy. I get that, but I'm really glad it wasn't just Sonic Team versus Robotnik again. It was to a degree, but like not the whole way, and there was more to it. Same with two, it was against Knuckles. Knuckles was like the bad guy.
Mhm.
Um, this one had obviously Shadow, but also the extra Robotnik. So I like the changing things up while also keeping it like fresh, keeping it true to lore, but also fresh.
Yeah.
And I also loved the team up that they had to do with grandson Robotnik and Sonic, and that when they're walking around together, and because the banter between like Ben Schwartz, who's just he always just plays an annoying person, and him just playing an annoying little Sonic, but with this like larger than life Jim Carrey character who's like super egotistical and intelligent, whatever. Oh, we also haven't mentioned one of my favorite characters, who I think is just like again the epitome of fun. Robotnik's like Offsider,
Oh,
Agent Stone.
yeah, that's
He
true.
is so funny. Lee Majub or Majub, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he is fucking brilliant. I every scene he's in as well. He's so funny.
Yeah. I
He's
also
comedic. He doesn't do a lot, but his comedic timing is perfect. Like he's got it down.
same with Pablo. So he's also in Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's like in the soap opera playing
Yeah.
himself as like an evil twin or whatever. Yeah, Cristo Fernandez. Man,
Yeah.
that's so funny. Who saw we saw recently as well in something else. I'm trying to remember what that was.
He was in Venom as well. He was like the
Oh yeah,
bartender in
it
Venom.
was Venom that I was thinking of. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny as he does a good job actually in this.
So he's
And again,
just,
that's like they're just building on the tropes, but that's part of its charm.
yeah, like that's what I enjoyed. It was self-aware, it was just fun. And
Yeah,
that's what Sonic is. At the heart of Sonic is like running super fast and
yep,
just the one-liners. That's what I
yep.
wanted. And that's what it delivered.
The two characters that I want less of, and I'm glad I'm not upset they're in this because I like a little callback. But her sister, what's the main girl's name? Fucking Maddie. Maddie's sister Rachel, and Rachel's partner, played by a Criminal Minds man, Shamar Moore,
Yep.
Randall. They're two characters I give a fuck about. The two characters I don't want more of. I think they served their purpose number two. And I didn't mind the little, Tails tech when they can change bodies and stuff in this one. Um, but they're two characters I don't want back. They
Oh,
don't interest me.
they were very rarely in this one though.
Yeah, but I don't think they need to be back at all. I think get rid of him. I also can't stand Shamar Moore. He just comes across like an absolute douchebag and everything.
All right. I really liked him in Criminal Minds.
I know everyone
Mm,
does.
yeah.
I don't like him at all.
Okay. Yeah, fair. But yeah, this delivered everything I wanted it to do. There wasn't a
Yeah,
point where I was like, this shouldn't be in it. Like I enjoyed it all. I
it's
did
great.
find director Rockwell to be a weird choice. Like,
Yeah, yeah, Kristen Ritter. That's what I thought.
yeah, she just she plays pretty much the same character and everything. But
Yeah,
what was that? All right, whatever.
yeah, she didn't do much in this. She came in and said a few lines, and she has that look about her.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, she didn't do a whole lot in this. I thought she's gonna have a bigger role because at this point she's like a pretty big name actor.
yeah. So, what would
Yeah,
you give
it's
this one?
good. 3.5. It's very
Okay.
good.
Yep.
I can't give a fun, you know, movie like this any more than a 3.5. It's not masterful, but it's very entertaining. And I had a really good time. And I love Keanu Reeves in this, and I love every other actor in it. So that's a couple which I mentioned. It's fun as hell. 3.5, I think is fair. I've given all three a 3.5, but they're very. There's things about I like about more some and things I like about others.
Mhm.
But they all are for me a 3.5 across the board.
Yep. Mine is a very solid four. I enjoyed
Hmm.
this immensely. It was really good. Really,
Yep.
really fun.
Out of curiosity, what do you give 1 and 2? Would it
Uh,
be 3.5 and a three?
pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
on average, we're on the same across the trilogy, but just have
yeah,
different favorites. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Very much so. Good time.
Alrighty, now on to Netflix's most watched TV show ever, which is Squid Games.
I'm
So
not
it's
sure it's the most you watched. I think it's the most streamed show ever. I think the most watched is a big call. Sorry, just to maybe
mm,
correct.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But it's one of their massive ones. So
Oh yes.
yeah, so Squid Games season two. So I really enjoyed the first season. I was like, this is really cool. This is a
Yep.
unique premise, and we pick up pretty much straight after the events of season one. A little bit of time has passed, but it's kicking off where we're at. So we've got our main winner. So I forget all their names. Like
I know.
it's
We're
it's
we are so bad at I'm bad at Japanese names. I'm really bad at Korean names.
Yeah. Mate, I struggle with English names, let alone like I I call most people mate just because I can't remember their names. And
Yeah, that's fair.
I just go on. It's like old mate, this bloke, old mate, whatever.
Seong Gi-hun
Yeah,
is
so
our main character.
I quite like the contrast from him from season one to this season and like the memes at the moment where he's like in that first episode smiling, being like real happy to now
Yeah.
he's like real angry and like sought after revenge to shut these
Mm.
guys down.
I think he's aged a lot in 3 years as well. He looks like old now.
Yeah, that's what fame does to you though. You know?
Does it?
Yep. I don't know. I don't know. But how many episodes of this have you seen?
Three. I do want to watch more. I just haven't had time.
Okay. I'm almost finished season five, episode five. So
Okay.
I've watched a little bit further. Where I really liked season one, which was it was like really new, it was really cool. It was like a twist on the I guess you could call them children's games where it was like there's a
Hmm.
dire consequence if you don't actually do it, which is like the red light, green light, and it was like
Yeah.
really cool. The the cutting out of the biscuit or whatever, like there was
Yep.
really tense moments where once you get back into the actual games in episode three, I was like, this just feels too familiar. Like there's not
It's the
enough.
same game. Yep.
Yeah. Even the second game where you were thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be the same thing, but because he already has inside knowledge, they do a little bit of a bait and switch. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then the new game idea, I was like, I'm not interested in this. Like,
Okay.
there's not that like uniqueness or like the dire consequences that I'm kind of expecting. Because I feel like, I don't know if there's going to be a season three, but I don't feel like there's going to be a season three with these characters. Like I feel like it's going to end at season two. I don't know where they will go with it.
Okay. Yep.
But like episode one was kind of interesting because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're tracking the bloke that's recruiting people, and I was like, that's really cool. But then
Hmm.
it doesn't really get me anywhere. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, you found him, but he's just like, I don't know, these guys pay me to recruit, and he's like just a little bit of a psycho, where he's like off delivering the lottery tickets or like the
Yep.
scratchy tickets and the bread to these homeless people and be like, nah, you chose this, and then he just like loses his mind and is like stomping on all the bread and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like
And that had
where
nothing to do with the Squid Game.
no. I was like, are you just filling in time because you need a certain episode length? That's what you've been paid for. Like, I was just,
Hmm.
there doesn't seem to be that big sort of connection that I was like sort of hoping for.
Yeah. And while number one is really about like just like Parasite is about like social class and about human desperation and what lengths we're willing to go to and things like that. This one is either hitting different notes, which I guess they kind of tried to do with the homeless people choosing the lottery ticket over some food, um, or it's the same notes, which we as the first one.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel. I'm not like I want to watch more because I want to see where it goes. I enjoyed the first enough to see out the second, but I'm not hooked like I was with the first one.
No. Because I don't know, there's something about it where this group of people that they've got, it still feels like the same sort of tropes that they were hitting in the first one. Like you've got a mother and son
Yep.
duo.
Yep.
You've now got your main guy who's back in there who has like the
Hmm.
inside knowledge. But then you've got there's a rap guy. He's just so annoying. I'm like, God, I
He's
hope you die.
oh, he's great. He's my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got pingers
Yeah.
in his little like necklace. Which, by the way, they pull out old mate's like tracker in his tooth, but they don't take this guy's pingers.
Uh,
They let him
yeah.
keep his necklace.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, he's great. I reckon he's. I like a comic relief character like that. I hope he lasts because the last time in the first season, there was some like comic relief, almost very quite similar sort of street kids in the first episode, and they die in red light, green light. So they didn't last. There's that one antagonist guy who was out there to just kill everyone. Whereas this guy, he was killing people, like he was pushing people over and stuff in this. But at the same time, he's chaos. Like I like chaos in stories like this. I like the unpredictability in at this point a quite a predictable show.
Yeah,
Like we can sort of see what's going to happen. We can sort of predict that. Like I doubt Xiang Ji-hun is going to die in game two. You know,
true.
like there's a level of predictability to what to expect from this now. I need something fresh, and that's what I really hope they do because the first, like you said, first two episodes kind of have that. Interesting to see the how they're trying to like track this guy and find him, and he's got all the money in the world. Well, 46 million Australian it works out to be. Like for him, that's all the money in the world to do whatever he wants. He's bought multiple, like an entire floor more or less in like a hotel complex and knocked down walls and soundproofed it to build like a shooting range and all that's really cool to see. But then now he's back into the game, which is the part I was looking forward to. It now just feels like the same show, but less exciting because I can predict it.
Yeah, like they shouldn't have done red light, green light. It should have been, I don't know, I was thinking about it. It should have been like British Bulldog or something, where it's just, I don't know, you had to, if he turned around or he tackled you, you like got stabbed or something. Like he was wearing a bodysuit with knives, like something different. Because like
Yeah,
watching red light, green light again, I was like, I don't care for this. Like
yeah.
there's not that much suspense anymore besides.
One thing I did find interesting was the that's North Korean girl that we see from season one. She's now back and she's one of the shooters. She's on the other side of the fence. She's part of the bad guys. Um, so it's interesting to see the opposite perspective a little bit. Like we get to see the other people,
Yeah.
but I
Without
imagine she's going to be part of the coup. I don't know.
yeah, without giving too much away, she's a bit of a loose cannon for him.
Yeah, I assume so because that's part of her character we see in the first two episodes is that even though she's quiet, she's got a good heart, she cares about people, blah blah blah.
Yeah, because like in red light, green light, they in the first season they weren't shooting in the head. They were shooting like body shots where they were still breathing because they were paying one of the contestants to do the organ harvesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you see in red light, green light, there's quite a number of headshots.
Yep.
Mm, yep. So,
And she's a master assassin, supposedly.
mm,
I also think like why take the risk with people shooting? If there's like you look at a sniper, they're not if there's a group of civilians and a target, they're not trained to shoot amongst the civilians. They're trained to wait for an opportune moment. All these people, I know they're not huge distances away in this room, but these people who are shooting, trying to shoot out targets, running targets, and perfectly hitting them, why take that risk? If you've got a high-tech fucking building with this robot who can scan movement, why not have a robot that also shoots sniper bullets, pinpoint accuracy?
yeah, I don't know. My memory from the first one was that the robot was doing the shooting, but I don't
No, there was
know.
like guns out the sides, yeah.
Yeah, I
Same as
don't,
this.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It was too samey. Needed something different.
Yeah.
Where,
Um, yeah, like I said, I at least I have I'm gonna watch it and I'm really hoping like I'm still giving it a three. I know we're not quite there yet, but just to, get to my point, I'm I'm still enjoying it enough to want to watch more,
yeah,
but the first season is like a four, 4.5. Like it's really good. It's captivating. I watch it a few times. Like it's it's a really good series. Like you said, it's something really new and original. But when it's been done, and now that it's captivating on a successful IP, it's captivating is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Now that they're just trying to build off of an successful IP, it's not it's nothing new, and I don't know. I'm apprehensive, but I want to watch more.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to finish it because I want to see how they go, if they're able to shut the games down. I want to
Hmm.
see how they like are funding it and stuff as well. Because like
Yeah.
you've got the police agent bloke who's working traffic and then also like out on the ship looking for the island and stuff. I didn't know there was that many islands out there. Like I don't know the geography of off of South
Oh,
Korea,
South Korea. Yeah, for sure.
but I didn't think there was that many islands. But I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm nowhere near as hooked, and there's no like, I don't really care anymore for like the games, unless the game is like quite interesting. I'm not that interested because yeah, don't care. They lost me at red light, green light again. The second
Mm.
game, I was like, okay, that's not great, but
I think Red Light Green Light they had to do because it's the most iconic part of season one. It's the thing that if you think about season one games, it's probably the one that you think of first. So I think they
yeah,
kind of had to, but I know what you mean. Like it felt like the same. There was no tension to it.
yeah. I feel like
I
there
didn't give a fuck.
should have been some like variation to it, like have the floor like tiles, and you could only move on those tiles, but some of the tiles were booby trapped. Fill it with like something like bear traps or spikes or holes
Yeah,
in the
add
ground.
something. Yeah, yeah. So it's a different game at least.
Yeah, like have something slightly different.
And then it
Like,
could have been like him telling everyone, "This is what you got to do, and this is how you do it." And then all of a sudden, something new added, and it's like, "Wait, that wasn't here last time. I don't know what to do." Like,
yeah,
have something. Yeah, you're
yeah.
not wrong.
And there's too many votes. Like I'm annoyed with the votes the entire time. I know it's meant to build tension because like in the first game they're like, oh, if you get majority, and then he's like, oh, I remember if you get majority votes, everyone can leave. But
Yeah,
they're doing a
but
vote.
again, the tension's gone because in the first one, we know that even if they do vote to leave, they they get like re-enticed to be back into the games,
Yep,
and they all come on back.
yep,
So like we still know that even if they do fucking vote to leave, it really means nothing in the grand scheme.
yeah, yeah. So like,
And that was fine in the first one because there was that like, oh look, they're free, but there's still, 5 episodes left. Well, what are we gonna do? And then there's a bit of like again, it hammers in that point of like the human condition of greedy and desperation and whatever. Um, we see that come back. Whereas yeah, this one doesn't have. I mean, it does because we get like crypto bros and stuff who are all mad at each other in this and shit because they all trusted each other on YouTube and whatever. And like, yeah, there is some of it about greed and whatever, but it's not. It's the same.
mhm.
The same. Like if I
And
wanted to rewatch, if I wanted to watch it, I'd just watch season one again.
yep,
Mhm.
yep. So I don't know. And
It's a
like,
three from me.
yeah, it's a three. I don't know how they're gonna wrap up the next two episodes because it's kind of I don't know. Episode five is kind of like I still feel like I'm not at the end of Act Two yet. If I was watching like
Right.
the story beats, like there hasn't been that big sort of climax where they've been in real danger. But whatever, we'll see.
Yeah, the tension's not there, and out of what I've seen already, anyway.
Yeah,
And you can tell the whole first 2 episodes, like as much as they're not, they're at least they're different. You can tell the whole 2 episodes at the beginning are just setting up why Song Ji Hoon is back in the games. Like it's just setting him back into the game. That's the whole purpose of 2 episodes, 2 hours, put it back in the games.
yep. So guess we'll see. All right. Well, a movie that you have been waiting
Yes.
to see for a very, very long
Oh,
time
so
is
excited.
Anora. Do you want to kick us
Hell
off with
yeah.
Anora? Because I know
I would love to.
you're excited for it.
Yeah, this movie like tore up at film festivals and shit. It's been out for a while now, actually, but we're only getting it to screens now. It's probably Sean Baker's biggest. Like I've heard of Sean Baker. I haven't watched much of his. This is the only one of his I've watched, and now I need to go watch some of his old movies. So this is spoilers, fucking great. Um, but yeah, this is now one of his like bigger movies that's blown up. Normally he does well at film festivals. It won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Oh no, yeah, Cannes Film Festival. So it's doing well. So Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets an impulsively marries a son of an oligarch. An oligarch is like a business like high up. Um, Not high up, but like a fucking the monopoly man is an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. I think this movie presents better if you don't know that last sentence. Like just watching this as a whirlwind of events is more of a fun ride than not knowing. I mean, you sort of predict it, but when it happens, yeah, it's chaos. And I think that's great.
Yeah, it also has a very, I wouldn't even say undertone. It's very talking about different classes as well and
Yes,
the social
massively.
structures of
Hmm.
society as it is.
Yep, and
Like
also like the common goal of humans and how I'll get to certain characters and their goals and stuff, but a lot of the characters in this movie have the same sort of goal, and even though they sort of treat themselves like enemies, they want the same thing. And yeah, there's a lot of commentary on the human condition in general. But so this movie starts with Anora. She at the beginning of the film is a stripper. What she works at a place called HQ, which made me laugh because we used to have HQ in Adelaide. But yeah, it's called Headquarters. She's a stripper there. We see her. Um, she does her job well. She talks to all the right people and says all the right things and gets in the VIP room, makes tons of cash. She's introduced to a young Russian gentleman who comes in. Because she speaks Russian, she's told she has to go speak Russian with this guy. Her name is obviously Anora, but she goes by Annie, which we'll get to as well. And she meets Ivan, and Ivan is 21. He's young, he's rich. He's putting $100 bills in her panties. He's splashing the cash, and then she does a house call. We then find out that she's also a sex worker, and she, had sex with him obviously for money and all that sort of stuff. And over time, they form a bit of a relationship, but a huge part of this film in theming is transactional love and how everyone uses love as a transaction in this, and it comes to a head in the last scene as well, which I'll get to. Um, and then over time, she spends some more time with this guy, and she's loving the money and she's loving the lifestyle. They do a trip to Vegas after he offers to pay her $15,000 cash to be her boyfriend for a week. They go to Vegas
exclusive or
together with
whatever
all their
it's called.
friends. Yeah, to be exclusive. She takes a week off work. She spends a week with him. They travel. Um, and while they're in Vegas, he's like, "Let's get married. I can stay. I can stay in America if we get married." And she's like, "All right, fuck it. Let's get married." So they get married. She goes back to her back to HQ and quits. There's a girl they call Diamond who's like her rival stripper who screaming at her and whatnot, and it's gonna last 2 weeks, I bet. Uh, and I'm gonna say right now, go watch it before I keep going because I think this is where the story is the most enjoyable if you don't know what's gonna happen. But three, two, one, spoilers. Um, while she's living with uh Ivan, they get a phone call from his parents like minders or he's like his minders in America, but it's like his parents lackeys. And Tauros is like the main guy's name, who's fucking great. Tauros and Garnick, and they hired another guy called Igor to come out and like see what this guy's doing. They find out he's married. He just legs it. and then it's Anora left with these three like Russian mafia goons, more or less, and they have to spend the next half of the movie trying to find him so they can get the marriage annulled. Not divorced, annulled. It's the big important thing because they're not. Divorce is recognizing marriage existed, and then divorcing. Annulled is the marriage didn't exist.
Yeah, and if they don't get it annulled, she is entitled to quite a lot of the money.
Correct.
Yeah,
And yeah, rest of the movie is finding him. They find him. They get annulled. And we'll get to the ending later. But yeah, that's more or less it in a nutshell. I'm gonna say right now, this is probably the best movie I've seen since Substance. I fucking loved it.
yeah, right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought that Annie did a really good job. She did one of those roles where it's like the rougher sort of neighborhood, sort of down on your luck, got to do what you got to do to get by. I thought she was a really
Yep.
quite likable character, like
Yeah,
one of
she
those,
is. Yeah.
which is it's not an easy thing to be able to showcase on screen. Those sort of like hard, likable characters. Normally, it's
Hmm.
like one way or the other. Like you either they're too hard and you're like, oh, okay, like yeah, whatever. And
She's
then
amazing in this. She if this doesn't get an Oscar nomination, we pissed off. It's corrupt if she doesn't. This her portrayal in this is fucking incredible.
yeah,
She's so good. What I've heard about Sean Baker is that he often would just like put a camera in a room and let the characters get the actors get into character and just sort of film interactions.
yeah,
There's a lot of long takes in this because of that, and like she comes across so genuine. Like these characters feel so real. I said that about a lot of things, but I think this is one of like the best examples of. It's incredible. She's
yeah,
so good.
yeah. Even Ivan, I hated
Yeah.
Ivan. Like,
Oh, 100%. You
like,
meant to.
yeah, like he did a really good job of playing that entitled, rich, like
Hmm.
just wanker of a human.
And
Just
so immature and annoying.
yeah,
But you would
like
be. If
oh
your
yeah,
entire life has been you can spend whatever money you want and do whatever you want, of course you behave like this. Look at
yeah,
I mentioned Jaden Smith earlier, Nepo babies. Like this is just gets away with anything.
yeah. It's it's crazy how there's not a big cast either. Like the only
No.
what there's two. Well, Annie's your main lead, and then your Ivan plus your three Russians, and then you
Hmm.
get the mum and the dad pop in at the end. Like,
Yeah, at the end. And there's a bunch of friends, like Anora, not Anora. Ivan has a bunch of like friends that we see in bits and pieces, but they don't serve much more purpose beyond they are there for fun.
yeah, and you get to see that once the enforcers come. They're just like, oh nope, see ya. We're gonna
Yeah.
give in to that.
They try and act all tough and be like, you don't belong here and whatever. And as soon as they start Igor or whatever starts getting violent, they just back straight off and yeah, which makes sense. They're
Yeah.
kids, you know.
Also, Igor's incredible. I really enjoyed
Great.
Igor.
Oh, he deserves best supporting actor or at least a nomination.
Right. So
Yeah.
once like the whole first part is obviously setting up Annie and Ivan, like their whole situation. Then so you'd
Mhm.
say Act Two is them enjoying each other, his company, building that relationship, and then all of a sudden Act Three sort of kicks off when you get introduced to the three Russians that just come into the house, and there's a full big struggle.
Mm.
I laughed normally.
I'd actually consider that the beginning of Act Two. I think Act One is all setting up their relationship and stuff. And then
Okay.
Act Three is more. It almost isn't an Act Three. It's not really a climax to this. Act Three is kind of like finding Ivan.
Uh, see, I would have thought him running off was the end of Act Two, where they come in, and that was like the big climax, and then the resolution was like them sorting it out, and then Annie getting like shown kindness and human emotion that she's not like used to, and having
Mm.
the breakdown end scene. I was
I
like,
think what would prove there though is that this necessarily, like intentionally so, is more about the chaos of life and less about like plot structure. Like it's hard for us like in a lot of movies you can say act one, act two, act three, boom, easy done. But this is like life is chaotic.
Yep.
And I think what Shawmaker does so perfectly here is like, yes, it's not predictable, but it's also, the first half of the movie takes place over 2 weeks, and the second half takes place over 24 hours. And yet the second half is like where all the chaos ensues. Like life's unpredictable and crazy shit happens to crazy people. So, you know,
Yeah.
I
Also,
think that's
like,
I think we proved a really good point there is one point.
I think it, well, I'm not sure if it's the writing or the acting or wherever it is, but it was like majority of the film, you don't quite know where it's going to go. Like, you don't know what
Mm,
each character is going to do. And like, that's probably one of the most unique things I've seen for a while. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know what Annie's going to pull out here. Like,
yeah,
she was quite explosive. And then you've got the three Russian guys, and they were all over the place as well.
yeah.
The only really
And what
predictable one was her nemesis Diamond. I was like,
yeah,
okay, like you're gonna throw shade and it's gonna come to a head at some point.
yeah. And I heard a criticism that Diamond's character was unnecessary and that that was the part of the story that could have been removed and the story would have been solid still. But I completely disagree. I think Diamond is another reminder in this story, as I sort of alluded to earlier, that Diamond and Annie have the same goals, really. They're both strippers as a means to an end. They both want to, the ultimate goal is the jackpot, which is finding a sugar daddy, more or less, and getting out of this industry. And they hate each other for it. Like they bicker and fight because they are almost too similar. And I like that in Diamond as a character. And a big part of this is that like human similarities often create divides rather than create like friendships.
Yeah, that's true. So
Um, there's so many good themes in this. I mentioned transactional love before, and I want to get to the end. Annie's whole character, and I really like. There's a lot of subtleties in this that they don't have to like clearly explain. Like we don't know Annie's backstory, but there's a few things that she says that you're like, okay, she had a rough childhood. She's not close to her parents. She mentions because when Ivan first starts talking to her in Russian, she's like, I understand Russian, but I don't like to talk it. So you can tell she's trying to distance herself from her Russian heritage. She doesn't like her Russian family, obviously. Um, we know that her background isn't very good, but she doesn't. It's not explained to us, which I think is perfect. Um, we see her entire mind around sex is completely transactional. She has no, throughout the entire movie, she has no real relationships. She has with her co-workers are based on like, bitching about customers, things like that. Whereas she spends, like, we see her fucking talk to these customers and talk to them and schmooze them and like, form these little mini relationships. And then she goes to her friend Lulu and they just bitch. Like, they just bitch about customers, which we do, we all do. We do our fucking students.
oh yeah, I
Um,
couldn't imagine like you would form super strong. You'd have to have some form of dissociation in that line of
100%.
work. Like there's no way.
100%. I think that's done so perfectly in this. I know that Sean Baker and Mikey Madison as well, the girl who played Annie, I know they did a lot of research on sex workers and strippers and stuff and spoke to a lot of people about how to play this character, which I think is great. Um, but yeah, a big part of her character is transactional love. And though we see her forming a relationship with Ivan, it's completely based on the transaction, what's she getting out of it. And then we see this character Igor come in, and he has nothing. He doesn't have money. He doesn't have any sort of, social status. He's a lackey. He lives with his grandmother. And Annie treats him like crap the whole way through. And we find out over the course of time that he is the most genuine person. He's the only person who cares about her feelings. He's the only person that wants good things for Annie, and he can actually put himself in her shoes where everybody else just sees her as, they always just say she's a hooker, she's a prostitute, she's a whore or whatever. Um, at the end, in the last scene, when after all the chaos happens and the marriage has been annulled and whatever, they go to he returns Annie to, I think, her sister's house where she's living prior, shows her that he stole the wedding ring, the yeah, for that Ivan bought Annie, which obviously worth a shit ton. And her instant reaction is to pay him back with sex. Like she can't help, but I think you're still muted, by the way.
Oh no, I'm just
Um,
listening intently.
oh, sorry. I thought you heard. I thought I watched you say something.
No.
And her instant reaction was to pay him back with sex. That's in her brain. The transaction of someone does something nice to me. My nice thing to do back is to have sex with them. And he tries to like kiss her, and she holds back. And that's something I found really powerful. Was like she doesn't do a lot of kissing in this. Um, you know, that's too much of a connection
Yeah,
to be
too
that
much
close to someone.
emotion.
Yeah, exactly. So she fights it, and then she breaks down and cries. And that's like the first time we really see her at the it break those emotional walls. Um, it's such a powerful, it's a heartbreaking scene because this girl is broken, but it's also really powerful and it summarizes all the themes in the movie so well in one little scene with very little dialogue. I love the end scene. It stuck with me so much. I've watched I watched the movie once. Sorry, my throat's fucked. But it's one of those scenes that I've thought about and replayed in my head many times and sort of
Did,
tried to analyze.
did you notice? Well, I didn't have subtitles, so I'm not sure if subtitles were meant to be a thing,
I think it made
but
a big difference.
probably. But I saw the film as like you you weren't meant to understand what was said in Russian, but whatever.
But you
y-
are.
yeah, probably. So
Not probably. Yes, you are.
during the first, well, when the three Russian blokes are introduced, you
Hmm.
see the main guy is like screaming and like real demanding. The other guy is like the enforcer, the bigger guy who gets
Hmm.
his nose broken, and they're all
Garnick,
very
yeah.
like stop screaming, like very
That's
forceful.
so funny. That whole scene. It's 28 minutes, by the way, that scene.
Yeah,
And it is fucking hilarious. I was pissing myself.
but Igor actually
Yeah.
he actually says like please stop screaming, can you
Yeah,
like
please.
please, like actually uses like
Hmm.
manners and stuff, like trying
Definitely.
to get her, so he's like the contrast to the other two
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
mm,
And
mm,
everything he's doing, he's trying to, as he says to her, I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to make sure you don't hurt yourself. And like, because he knows that if he holds her down, then Garnick isn't going to, or Toros isn't going to, because Garnick and Toros will hurt her.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. There are so many quotable moments in that scene. It's so funny. Like in Russian, there's a part where he Garnick walks in and Igor's holding her, and he's like, "Why are you holding her? Just let her go." And he's like, "She's gonna run away." He's like, "No, just let her go." And then she gets up and starts running away, and then Garnick's like, she's gonna run away," and he's like, "Oh, really?" Like, the comedic timing is so good, and
Yeah,
for a movie that's like pretty heavy-handed with its theming, it's a comedy as well. Like, I found this fucking hilarious. I'm excited to rewatch.
yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised. Anytime you're super excited for a movie, I'm like, this is going two ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so fair.
So it's like when I recommend a movie to you, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's normally just action schlock, but no, this was brilliant. This my favorite comedy of the year. Um, which is a lot because it's considering it's the second last day of the year.
Yep.
I think Hundreds of Beavers. I think I liked
Oh,
more than this, but if I did my top 10 again, this would be in there somewhere.
okay.
This is very fun.
Be
This is a
cool, be
very good
cool.
movie, and cinematography is incredible. The lighting, the color grading is incredible. There's not a single shot that doesn't look like a fucking painting in this. It's just like it's so much to say. I know we're running out of time, but there's so much to say about this. I think is just masterful in every way. I think every character has so much depth to them without having to have things explained to us. There's so much show don't tell. Every character portrayal is brilliant. Like every aspect of cinematography is brilliant. It's great. It's fucking great movie. It's
Yep.
one of those things that I'm gonna recommend to everyone. I think that whether you like comedies or you like action or you like a bit of art house stuff, this ticks all the boxes in some way. I'm really glad to hear you enjoyed it. I thought you
Mm,
would, but I'm glad you weren't rolling your eyes as I was describing it.
yeah. What would you give it then?
And I think a 4.5, maybe a five. I
Ooh.
think what it's lacking to maybe to get a five is it's as much as everything's masterful, it's not. I compare it to like Poor Things or The Substance, where it's something really interesting and fresh, and that I had no idea films could do this. This is interesting, but it's still like quite grounded, um, and it's not like totally artsy that it's like wow, I can't believe this has done that. But I don't know. Maybe it's better for that. Maybe it's a five. I don't know. It's 4.5. It's a five. I'll give it a better number later once I rewatch.
Yeah. I am giving it a 4.5. I think that is
Hey,
the highest I've ever given a Lawson recommendation.
I think so.
Mm,
Hell yeah.
mm,
I'm proud of you.
mm. I quite enjoyed it. I liked what it had to say. I liked the characters. I thought it was extremely well acted. It was
Hmm.
for a movie that's like 2 hours and I want to say
It's long.
12 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 210, 220. Yeah.
219 it says on IMDb.
There you
It's
go.
yeah, 2 hours something. I was like, I'm quite engaged in it. To begin
Yeah.
with, I was not when it was just her and Ivan. I was like, I don't like Ivan at all.
Yeah.
But then once you get introduced to the three Russians, then it was like, yep, okay,
Yeah.
this
Then
is
it's
quite good.
properly fun.
Mm,
Uh-huh. But I
yeah.
think I heard a criticism someone say that they should take away even just 10, 15 minutes of that Ivan part. I disagree completely. I think there's nothing in this you could remove because it's all about that whirlwind of life and chaos. And
Mm,
yeah, I think every scene was necessary in my
yeah.
opinion, but
Yeah.
I love
So,
it. Yep, yep.
so yeah, we got a big week for
Good
you next
week.
week.
Yeah.
We've got Nosferatu, which is the new Dracula one. We've got Baby Doll, which is Nicole Kidman's one, which made the newspaper or the memes going around. Newspaper, no one reads a newspaper.
Say
About
what?
her, about her needing to walk away from sets for her to stop coming or something or other. It was a bizarre viral
Yeah, I heard something
post.
like
Yep. And then we've got the new Wallace and Gromit. So yeah, I'm keen for that. You're keen for that.
that.
And
Hell yeah.
then we've also got Creature Commando, which is James Gunn's newest animation mini
Mm,
series, pretty much Suicide Squad. But depending on what we can see, we'll see three of those. So yeah.
yep.
You know what to do if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. Give us a 5-star rating, share it with your friends, tell them all on YouTube. Make sure you
Hell
like,
yeah.
comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. We'll see you guys
Tell
next
your
time.
friends. Love yous.
Bye.